Stellar Blade just came out.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you look at that? Do you care about that?
I
Did it?
watched a trailer, but it didn't really grab me. So
Oh wow! It didn't get you with the scantily clad main
no,
character there.
no.
How?
I was like Bayonetta, huh?
Yeah. It's like more bait than Bayonetta though.
Yeah,
It like
yeah,
genuinely feels like bait.
right.
Like it's been called Hordy Souls now. It's like the going on online. So that should tell you all you need to know about the art style and how
Yeah,
the game is. But I watched about an hour of it because I was interested because I like Souls games.
yeah. Me too.
So I was like, man, even if it looks like this, even if it looks like a meme, whatever, I'll look at it and see. Getting away from the bait, it just doesn't look like the game's doing anything new,
Right.
anything innovative, anything different than what we've already done for the past. When did Dark Souls come out now? If that's like
2000.
6, lower 7.
No, Demon Souls is 2009.
Oh,
So Dark
okay.
Souls is
yeah, probably 11 then.
2011.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, 10 years here, 10 plus years now of the Souls formula.
right.
So you're going to put out a game like Stellar Blade, which it looks completely fine. It looks fine, right? I'm not saying it's going to be like a bad, but you put this out now brand new, and I'm just not seeing anything that
Yeah,
draws me in to have to do this formula again.
right. Yeah, it kind of. I think they're using a existing formula, but just kind of repackaging it into a scantily clad waifu bait.
Yeah, well, seriously though, right? It almost feels like you're just throwing a different coat of paint
Right.
on a formula that already works.
Yeah, and that can work sometimes.
Yes, 100% it can.
Yeah.
Because let's not, like, I don't want to be, like, I'm not just a hater here, because I understand that with how modern gaming is at this point, there's certain formulas that exist
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah.
The open world formula, it is what it is. There's only so much you can do with these certain... I don't want to say, like, gaming has peaked. We've done everything gaming can possibly do, but we have our formulas that now exist.
Yeah.
And this open world Souls-like formula can be made really interesting or different, or like Lords of the Fallen was kind of using the same. It's the same formula game,
Mm-hmm.
and it did pretty well this time around.
Yeah,
First
right.
time it didn't,
Right.
because that you copy the formula and you do it worse in every way.
Yeah.
Why would I bother playing?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you can absolutely do these games and make them new, fresh, the story innovative in some way. Stellar Blade just wasn't. I don't know. I haven't played it yet. Maybe I will if it gets on deep discount. I don't see this game holding up in price, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of like already looked like a budget title to me. Just from the trailer, I'm like, oh, okay. But you know what? When you think of it that way, isn't the Souls formula, like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, probably one of the most innovative games of the last couple decades? Created its own genre.
When it was a thing.
Yeah.
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 100%. And so now, we're, let's say, about 15 years deep into
Yeah.
this formula.
Yeah.
It kind of ran its course,
Yeah.
dare I say? Because we go to, like, the open world type of Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
Where did that, like, Fallout 3? Was that earlier than Skyrim?
Yeah,
Like
because
that
it would have
big-
been after Oblivion.
Yeah. I
Oblivion
guess
would have been
Oblivion, probably. Maybe even
Morrowind,
Morrowind.
Yeah, really, Morrowind.
When you're doing that huge open world, we're going to go do quests here, side quests there.
Yeah,
and like,
Witcher
Yeah,
took
yeah.
off after Morrowind.
And Witcher was
I think.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Witcher 3, fantastic. Might be
Oh,
one of the
so
peaks of the genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then it's like, okay, I've done, 100 hours on Skyrim, Witcher, Fallout. Like, I just, can you keep, like, I think Starfield was that kind of game as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was supposed to do something new, innovative with that formula, and kind of flopped in the execution of it.
Yeah, I think they made it seem bigger than it actually was.
Because you kind of have to do something at this point. You
Yeah.
have to do something to stand out, because it's like, okay, well, that formula exists. Fallout 4 did it better already. You can just like, now we have such a backlog of these game styles and everything
Yeah.
that I just don't think in 2024 doing a reskin or having nice graphics is going to separate
Yeah,
yourself. It just
yeah, I definitely hear that, and I think like Starfield would have been like one of the most innovative games on the Xbox 360. That's what it looks like. It looks like kind of Fallout 3 in space.
Yeah, and that's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
A Mass Effect already had kind of that space thing going on.
Yeah.
This was gonna like really build on like
and I think Mass Effect really pushed the envelope in terms of storytelling.
Yep.
Like the how you could carry your custom character over to the next games with all the decisions that matter. Like, that's incredible.
Actual decisions that matter.
Yeah, actual decisions that
Didn't
matter.
Starfield also have like fake decisions everywhere? I feel like I saw cuts, or I didn't play the game, I will say,
Yeah,
so you know I'm getting
either.
hit by clips and stuff of like the false dialogue trees.
Yeah.
Where you have 3 options that all literally like, you know, lead to the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, that's insulting.
Yeah.
Don't give me a dialogue tree when all 3 options are literally the same dialogue answer.
Yeah, because then, you know, in that case, you could tailor it and make it a tight narrative. But in this case, it's not really.
Yeah. But welcome in, you guys. Greg's Weekend Rental episode
18.
18. Wow,
18.
that's crazy. The big thing here coming in, like, that's gaming. It's always fun with gaming. We gotta talk about that every now and then because there's just so much that's always taking place. But in the world of collecting here, sealed and graded specifically, the entire hobby was dealt a massive blow, like 10 steps backwards, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We had this website, for anyone who doesn't know, most people who are deep in the hobby probably know, but it never really got that huge widespread knowledge base that existed. But we had a website called Gamerstonks.com. Yes, it's a meme. It's supposed to be a meme. It's a Gamerstonks. That was part of the point. But what this website did was aggregate all graded sales of video games across major auction houses. So it would take in, kind of like how Price Charts does eBay, and it pulls all these sales. Then in one place, you can go and look at all these things.
Mm-hmm.
What Gamerstonks was doing was if a graded game sold on PWCC, Golden, Heritage, it was also pulling Hakes. If a graded game sold on any of those websites, it would then put all of that sales data in one place. You could sign in, you could type in Super Mario Bros. 3, and then it would show you every grade that's ever sold, where it sold, what time it sold, and how much it sold for. And it was being manually data updated by the person who created it. So a lot of the flaw with price charting or other big algorithm type websites is it pulls all the data auto, and it only actually updates that data if someone reports an issue. If you were to go into price chart yourself and you're like, hey, no, that's not the right game. Like if you go to Castlevania 1, right? We just had that $90,000 sale.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and browse the factory sealed sales for Castlevania, there's like Castlevania 2, 3, there's everything in there. It's a mishmash.
Right.
It catches things that say Castlevania. So the data on Gamerstonks, because the person who made it cared, was manually combing data before even putting it in. He was manually combing variants before even putting them on the website. So you knew that if you're looking for Mario Bros. 3 Left Bros specifically, you're not getting data that's wrong,
right.
Essentially.
Yeah.
It's just wrong.
Yeah.
And it wasn't giving average prices. You had to actually look at it, and the website was taken down. Long story short here.
That's why we're talking about it.
I gotta emphasize how good this freaking website was, man. It was, every day I would log into it. Every day. If you're deep in the hobby, it was an everyday thing because it was so easy to get this data done. But the website was taken down due to, well, speculation. Big speculation. Nothing confirmed. But he was pulling the data from these different websites, and the most likely scenario is that he didn't have proper permissions to pull the data. Now, whether or not there could have been a partnership put in there, maybe they didn't agree on terms. Again, I don't know. Everything has been hush-hush since it shut down. I'm guessing there was actual legal implication put forth by one of these companies, be it Heritage, be it Golden. It could have been CGC. He had data there. Most likely one of the auction houses. Because if you go through their terms and conditions, the data is theirs. They own the data, despite it being a public thing. Like if you make a login for these sites, you can go browse their archives. Not an issue. But I don't know how the redistribution of their data works.
Right.
And he was charging for this website, Gamerstonks.com, using the other people's data.
Yeah, that's probably where the problem was, I bet.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So randomly, one day, it's like, hey, due to issues with data taking, we can no longer continue the service. The website's being taken down at the end of the month, and that was it.
Yeah.
And now it's just scraped off the internet.
Yeah, it really sucks. I never actually got a chance to use it. And, you know, I feel like games especially are tougher off because they don't have a service like that regularly. You know, comics have had this for years. With,
of course.
You know, GPA. You could easily look up any book that has been graded by CGC and sold on eBay.
I think there's multiple for comics. Does Go Collect do comics as well?
Yeah, I think most from what
GPA analysis, like the website.
When I was actively collecting, GPA was the main thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I've gone on there myself as well, because like if I don't know comics.
Yeah.
So okay, I can turn on eBay filter to sold listings, try to type in the grade I want, but like that's one marketplace.
Yeah.
A lot of this graded stuff, high-end stuff, doesn't even move on eBay.
Yeah.
Like that isn't
There's
even
just so
the
much
main
less
auction
of it.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we talk about comics especially, like a Heritage is weekly, but they might do 2 weekly auctions for comics on Heritage alone,
Yeah.
where they sell hundreds of graded books from CGC and CBCS, I believe is the other company.
Yeah.
That's one auction house running hundreds a week. Having eBay data just literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You get one small slice of the actual data analysis for this stuff. And when we're working in this place, like having a website that aggregates all of this is helpful for literally everyone.
Yeah.
This is stuff that makes the hobby better. This is stuff that actually gives people transparency.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know. Like, I try to price check stuff now. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
It's very hard.
Because, you know, so much of the stuff we're dealing with only has a few copies. Maybe you only have that copy in that grade. It's very likely in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do you find a comp? What do you do when you're trying to price something?
Yeah, you have to now manually sign into each website. So you manually sign into Golden, you manually sign into Heritage. You go check all these different sites. You go to eBay then and you type it in. You look for anything that might even be somewhat similar. And if you don't find it, then if you want to do relative analysis, it's basically impossible now.
Yeah, it really
just takes so long.
Yeah, it slows the hobby down, which
It does.
is not great for long term.
The interesting thing is like it slows the hobby down, I think, from like a growth perspective, people coming in perspective, because it's just way harder to get info. But on the other side of it, it kind of like blinds the hobby.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Like it might actually raise prices.
Right.
When people don't have this analysis anymore, or very easily accessible analysis.
Yeah.
No longer can you just punch a number in and be like, oh, hey, this game sold for 90,000 before, now it sells for 14,000. Like, you might be like, oh, that's cheap, relatively speaking, or something. You no longer have all of that history in one place.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even know that a game just sold for 1,000 2 months ago, and you paid 1,500 today. And you're like, hey, that's cheap. And it's like, well, if you actually had data, you'd see it was 1,000, it was 800, it was, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's just, it becomes much more speculative in that case. It's not like comics or cards where there's, you know, thousands and thousands of examples of any given comic and any given grade until you go back, you know, way back to the golden age. But
yeah,
for the most part, it's very easy to find representative sales. And eBay is not a great place for games, just, you know, as one marketplace, because not enough sells.
If you're doing stuff in the 100 to 500 range, it's probably not bad. You're gonna have some stuff on there.
Yeah.
That's it though.
Yeah.
Like,
as soon as you get to that, like, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, you know, you're not going to see many sales, if at all.
People just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not eBay? Well, because you are at the mercy of eBay yourself.
Yeah.
You're handling all fulfillment. You're handling any chargeback scams. Like, that's all you. And when people are dealing in thousands of dollars of stuff, some people just don't want to deal with it. They have the money to not deal with it.
Right.
You're paying the convenience fee.
Yeah.
And some people, that's fully worth it.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into the 5,000 plus.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for a lot of these things, it kind of increases the speculative aspect of it.
I think you can easily, like, I think you can manipulate easier, frankly.
Yeah. It's true. When you don't have representative data or, you know, previous price points. Yeah, for sure.
All of a sudden, the whole, like, you know, I go to an auction now and it's like, man, that feels like a good price, or that feels expensive.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm trying to work off an emotion basis.
Yeah.
Rather than just being like, oh, 2 seconds here, punch, it sold for this 3 times prior. Like, you can still do it. It's just way slower.
Yeah. Just
way slower.
Much more cumbersome.
And when it becomes that cumbersome to do something like this, people don't do it. And like I said, that can then lead to people might just ignore auctions altogether. I don't have information. I'm not even going to try bidding. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't even want to try and get into this.
Yeah.
I can go do cards. I can go do comics where everything's hand fed.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like cards and comics, you can have some pretty cool stuff for not much money.
Exactly.
Like games, if you want to play in the sealed game, it's like, what really nice thing can you have for like $100?
Yeah.
You know, you can have like a cool WotC Pokemon Holo.
I know.
Base set
I know.
for like $100. Can't do that with games.
You get a CIB.
Yeah.
But for a lot of stuff, you might just get a cartridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on how far back you're going and what
Yeah.
you want. Like, I mean, $100 as far as really cool stuff goes doesn't go far.
Yeah, it doesn't get
on the
much.
collector side of things, it just doesn't go far. And I think that barrier also does just like so now we eliminated all the sales comps or the data, the easy accessible data, and the barrier, the monetary barrier is pretty darn high.
Mm-hmm.
Bad spot for graded and sealed games.
Yeah, yeah, and who knows if anything will really replace it? I don't know. Like, the only way price charting could really work is eBay would have to kind of finagle its categorization for games and graded games.
Yes.
So the data can be scrubbed much easier.
Yeah, everything would have to be like, what grade is this? Who's the company? eBay would have to have that all on their side. So that when it's scraped over.
Like they do for comics and cards. You can search by PSA or by, certain grade point. It's like, can't do that for games. So then price charting pulls in wrong items entirely, wrong variants.
Yep.
Just not sealed games in sealed category.
Yeah, yes. Repros going into other stuff.
Yeah, depending on how it's worded in the title. Yeah, so it's not great for games. It's good for cards and stuff. Price charting, like you can easily track Pokemon sales.
It just with graded, it just doesn't.
What do we do?
Because people will say like, "Oh, what about PriceCharting.com? It lists it sucks.
It sucks for a decade.
It just sucks if you actually need to go deep."
I used to get angry when people would quote me price charting prices. I'm like, it's wrong. It's like the price is held down by like a repro or
literally. So you look at something, it's like, oh, great, the CIB says $300 because it's pulling repros and games that aren't it. Yeah. Like, I'm not selling you this for $300, man. Get away from me. Like, back. On the opposite side of that, too, I fully admit, I will, like, I was going to say, I'll fleece people thanks to price charts, but that sounds a bit aggressive. But if someone
it's your fault for not knowing.
If someone comes to you with like a factory sealed whatever it is, like, okay, so Pokemon Yellow, I bought one off Reddit not long ago actually. I paid $1,500 for a first print. Looks like a 9.0 plus.
Raw.
And yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So you go to Pokemon Yellow on price charts, I think it says $1,300 for new, right? That's just the new price. Again, doesn't take variant into condition, doesn't take condition. It's just $1,300 for a Pokemon Yellow. And he was like, "Oh, price chart says 1,300 and ask 15." I was like, "Yeah, I'll give you 15." Great. Yeah. Happy you got your price charting price, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with paying an asking price, so it's like.
No, I know, and I don't feel bad at all. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Well, like you're like $1,500. Here's $1,500." Yeah. Price chart says it is, and that's getting advice from other game collectors on like Reddit game collecting. Of like, oh well, yours is pretty nice, so maybe ask a little bit more.
So you're saying Reddit is a great source for game collectors then?
I have picked up a couple things now.
Okay,
let's put it that way. If something factory sealed or super expensive comes up, the
great source if you're a buyer.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The information drop off is just exponential.
Yeah.
And now again with we literally took down the one database that could help your average person price anything decently well. Like
yeah, because I mean I think a lot of people would like to play in the game market, but unless they're buying something they really love, it's like a lot of people, myself included, need to feel like your money is not being wasted.
Yeah, it's not investing. It's just I don't want to I'm not looking to burn $500 as soon as I spend my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't just want to overpay.
If I buy something, I want to at least know that I could get my money back.
That someone else in the
at
world,
the very minimum,
someone else in the world might value it for the price I paid.
Yeah.
I'm not just looking to...
Is that too much to ask?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I at least want to know that it's not just dead money.
Yeah, because dead money sucks. Even foreign exchange fees or stuff. It's like, man, can you imagine all the money wasted like PayPal Forex or something?
Oh no, I know.
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
I was gonna lose $36 on PayPal the other day. Like I was gonna move $1,000 US to my bank account.
Yeah.
And just with PayPal's fee versus using a different website, I was gonna lose $36. It's just like it's
ridiculous.
Come on!
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like you could go for like a okay steak dinner
it's
for
a
that.
Meal.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, just to move my money around, it kills me, man.
Yeah.
Kills me.
Yeah.
The other big thing that happened though here, so we're talking about a piece of information being taken away from everyone. We actually finally got VGA pop reports. They're actually on the website. You can only access them on desktop. They aren't the don't think you're getting 2024 technology out of VGA. They've shown that is not their specialty. but we finally have working, functioning, accessible VGA pop report. What's it mean for the hobby?
That's a good question.
That's 20, no, not 20, 16 years. And I will say, back before VGA would you could like request pop reports from them.
Right. I remember doing that a couple times.
So I do just want to say, despite them not having a public pop report, they would allow access if you continually ask them every day and they actually responded to you.
Right.
You could get some information.
That's efficient. Yeah.
I don't like. They didn't have a pop report.
Yeah. Right.
I don't care. They did that. They didn't have a pop report.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's it mean for the hobby? 15 years of data here dumped on people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to take into account that over the last few years, there's been a lot of crossover. So, that can kind of mess with the perception of things. And it's difficult. Comics, obviously, and cards will have this issue too.
Any pop report.
Yeah.
Any pop report.
Yeah. But it's like, maybe it's a bit worse for games just because of the relative scarcity versus comics and cards. The crossover could interfere. What I'm saying is the crossover could interfere more so with games than with comics or cards.
Yeah, like a single or two games being crossed really affects the numbers.
Could be like 50% of the pop.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
WATA did some tracking with that. I don't know if you saw that. They have like the VGA crossover report.
Right.
So if someone sent in a game to WATA games that was in a VGA case, I showed you some games I'm going to cross. If I were to send those in the VGA cases to WATA games, they will track that on their end.
Okay.
That we smashed open this case, here's the number, here's the game, here's the grade.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
VGA is not removing them from their side, mind you. So you have to, again, this is the tedium of data though, so you have to cross-reference the VGA pop report with the WATA smash out pop report and be like, oh, have any of the games actually been crossed?
Yeah. I mean,
are
it's at
people
least
going to do that?
Yeah.
Some.
It's at least responsible from WATA's side to do that.
100%.
For sure. Yeah.
Great. It's just one of those things where, if I'm quickly looking at something, am I also then going to reference this other pop report and do the math?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if it's something super important, if you're trying to track first print Castlevanias, maybe, but your average game, no.
Yeah.
I'm simply not going to.
Yeah. Again, just the lack of cohesive data just increases the likelihood of speculation.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's like, what can you do?
With the VGA pop reports, I will say, just they are public now. I think a lot of people were thinking they were going to be. I personally thought they were going to be higher. The VGA pop reports. Okay. And this isn't just me pumping here. I know, like, it's hard for me to oh man, get your rare games now. As I sit on sealed and graded video games, I understand the position I'm in here while I say this, but I genuinely thought the numbers were going to be a bit higher than they are.
Okay.
Even on really popular games like Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario Bros. 3, yeah, there's a couple hundred of them, but that's, 15 years worth of grading versus WATA games having its 5 years or whatever it is now. The actual volume of video games across WATA and VGA are very similar for the 15 years versus 5. And that surprised me.
Yeah. It might have been just a case of better, publicity. More people kind of knew about WATA as it was coming up, and
yeah, I think just the amount of market share they captured within that little time frame, versus it being this super niche hobby for the past, 2008 up to 2020.
Yeah,
12 years there of nicheness versus 4 years of explosion. I just thought the VGA pop reports would be higher.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we thought was rare, most of it is rare. This doesn't open it up oh my god, look at all these TM, look at all the first print Zeldas or first print Castlevanias. They were there the whole time. Look at all the black box. No, that stuff doesn't exist for the most part.
Still rare. Very rare.
Yeah, it's oh wow, there's 3.
Yeah. Good luck.
Well, really, right? Pretty much. Good luck.
Yeah.
Pat just made a video talking about the first print Castlevania sale. And he was emphasizing a point. Pat, the NES punk.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who he is at this point. Emphasizing a point first print Castlevania. Who cares? Or what's special about it? Well, we now have the VGA pop report saying I think there were 5. One of them's a VGA 50. There's a couple qualifieds. There you go. So before the pop report even dropped, the big thing was there's 6. I think now with the pop report there might be 7. There was it confirmed another copy. It did bring another one to light, I believe.
Right.
I'd have to actually check the numbers, so just put a question mark there.
Yeah.
But I believe it did bring another one to light. But so now we're looking at 7.
Yeah,
that's it. And now, we can always, there's always the speculation of, oh, well, there's people not grading their stuff or there's more out there. We just had Zelda First Prince coming to another one. We just had the 288,000 one, right? TM Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one coming up. I don't know if you saw that with the Dallas Fort Worth find.
Okay.
Looks mint.
Wow.
Like this could be 9496. Like this is going to be a nice Zelda.
Highest graded copy, maybe?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see, right?
What's the highest graded VGA copy?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think there's an 85. There might be a 90.
Wow.
As dumb as that sounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, highest graded copy still might not happen just because I think there is a 90 out there.
Okay.
But that's, coming from where the game would have sold for maybe $2,000 back then.
Yeah.
Or it was found in one of these finds that just happened now.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of the really rare stuff does have one or two amazing examples on the VGA Pop Report.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
So Zelda First Prince gonna have like a 90, an 85, an 80, and like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
really not much.
Yeah, even when it's like that, it's like, okay, cool, we have a pinnacle, but that's you still don't get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with that, there's another one coming out, so you can always speculate that more will come. Because I think even when the first Zelda First Prince sold, it was like, oh, there's 3 or 4 of them. Now we're up to like 7, 8.
Yeah.
So so stuff's still gonna be found. But yeah, the VGA Pop Report, I think, really did confirm that a lot of this super rare stuff is, in fact, super rare.
Yeah.
We're in a world where these games like Black Box, Zeldas, Mike Tyson Punch, these are 10,000 plus now. I think the information is pretty ubiquitous. I think the information is out there where a lot of people who would be holding factory sealed NES games, like if you are someone who still has factory sealed NES games, Super Nintendo games, you have to know they're super valuable, right?
You would think. Yeah, it's been plastered over the news for, what, 4 years?
Quite a while, right?
Yeah.
You have to know they at least have substantial value. Now, whether or not you grade them, whatever, that might still not be happening. But I think the amount of people who know these games are super valuable now over the past 4 years, didn't sell any of them, didn't grade any of them, and just like literally sat on their hands over the past 4 years, I'm going to say it's not many people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. And I mean, honestly, I would love for more super rare, blue chip games to come to the market because
me too.
You can only foster a community so long when you have such like little supply sometimes. And I think that's why like modern game collecting kind of works for a lot of people because it's just like you can buy something that's relatively affordable.
That's why modern Pokemon is so like modern sports cards. You can literally just buy stuff.
Yeah.
And when the hobby of collecting is essentially buying stuff, you have to be able to buy stuff in order to participate.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a price barrier in vintage games.
Yeah. And with new games, I mean, yes, people collect brand new games and LRG really captures that thing. But when you open a Pokemon pack or a sports card pack, you always have that upside of like, maybe I'm going to get something worth $100 when I spend $6. If you buy a modern video game, you get exactly what you buy.
Yeah.
Like you just bought that game. You paid $60, it's probably worth $60. And not even, you just bought it. There's usually there's immediate depreciation with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Some limited editions and stuff, you can get more than retail, but like there is no speculation gambling immediately aspect, which really does separate that hobby.
Yeah. Well, I guess, if you're someone who's buying a factory sealed case of stuff to grade and flip, there's definitely some speculation there.
Well, I mean, at that point, if you can afford a factory case, $1,000, we no longer have to talk about the price barrier.
Yeah.
You got some money on your hands.
Yeah, that's right. You have a little bit of cash.
A case is going to cost $1,000, grading fees another over $1,000.
Yeah.
If you can do that, heck, we don't even need to talk about. At that point, you can buy whatever you want.
Yeah, right.
But I agree. That is the one thing you can do is try to grade 10s.
Yeah.
Because like even Mario Wonder 10s were selling for like $700 US.
Oh man.
I think you can get about 2 of them per case. So a case of 24, you send them all in. I think it was averaging about 2 10s per case.
Right. And do we have a pop report on that?
CGC, no, we lost it. That was on Gamerstonks. We had a makeshift one on Gamerstonks.com. The guy created his own pop report. Again, talking about how good this website was. He's a data guy. So he just scraped the CGC data and again, manually made a pop report for CGC.
Yeah.
So that's gone too.
That sucks.
Yeah. So, man,
it kills me. We're just like wandering in the dark.
One step forward, 2 steps back, man. We got VGA, we lost CGC.
Yeah.
Like, are we better off or worse? Probably better. But like,
yeah.
We need pressure on CGC now. Remember when everyone hated WATA Games for not releasing a pop report? Like, we need some pressure on CGC of like, get out a pop report. That's supposed to come when you guys launched.
They already have the infrastructure of the comic census.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't know, what's the holdup?
Just put it out. Just give us data.
Just plug the numbers in. You clearly got the spreadsheet for it, you know.
A dude did it in one day.
Yeah.
He made the makeshift pop report in like a day.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear excuses. I've seen how easy it is to make one now.
Yeah, right.
You can just slap one up. Put it up.
Slap it and put it up.
Put it up.
Yeah.
But on that note, if you're watching on the YouTube, make sure to say make sure to say you like the podcast. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Rate the podcast if you're listening to the audio. I appreciate you guys coming out for another one. Thanks, guys.